Last week I showed you how I experiment with acrylic pours, and even though the pours that I created can't stand on their own, I still saved them and ended up with a beautiful finished piece. And today I'm going to show you how I did it. Hi, I'm Christine, the artist behind Darlissa Designs, and I'm happy you're here. Welcome.
Hi everyone. Today is a continuation on the video I did with the acrylic pour experiments. So, of course, this isn't something that I would frame and leave the way it is. It's just an experiment, but I really love the colors in here and I love this gold, and I thought I'd really love to do this girl here, so I printed her out. I just want to make sure that some of these colors come out, so I'm going to leave her headband blank. I'm not going to cover over that, and I'm going to trace this out. I'm going to have her shoulder here so those colors come out, and I'm not going to cover everything. I'm going to shadow it around the edge and then let it show and then do maybe a vignette around it. That's the plan. So I'm just going to take, this has something already on it. You can use these graphite sheets many times. First, I'm going to place her. I want this to be in a spot where there's not much going on, and I want her shoulder to catch these colors here. So I think that's where I'm going to go with this. I want her headband to be, I'm going to kind of angle her a little bit because I want her headband to be in there where those colors are. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and tape this down without the paper underneath. And I'm just gonna tape the top right now, because then I'm gonna go in and peel it up just a little bit more so that when I put this paper, this graphite paper underneath, the tape will catch it. Make sure it's completely underneath now, and be careful because anything you hit on this now will leave a mark on your page. So this important part, because when you're tracing, if your image moves, it's not going to be lined up properly. You definitely want to pull this back and check and make sure that you're doing your lines dark enough. Now, I don't need to see every detail. I'm just marking off certain areas. I'm going to have to go over that a little darker because I can't see it. But you just want a little bit of an outline so that you know where everything lands on the canvas. But never take off all the tape because you want to lay it down and get it right back in the right spot. Okay, as you know, I like using my takeout containers, and just to keep it from getting too confusing and too many paints mixed up, I'm gonna put my paints in that little paint tray. And this is not a painting tutorial, but my channel is all about trying new things. Don't be afraid just because you don't know how to paint to pull out some paints and just tackle the hard stuff as if you know what you're doing. I'm just going to go in and block out some of these areas around her face. And I know I'm going to cover up some of the lines that I'm going to try not to cover up too many of the lines like her eyes. I'm going to kind of leave a little bit of that so I can see, like, here's her eyebrows. I'm going to leave some of these lines where her hair is. And I'll go back in and do some of the strands before I finish. That way I don't cover up what I've just traced, and then I won't be able to find where her face is. Now, another way you could do this is just, and I will go in after and do it, is to go in and do some shadowing around the outlines of her face. That's a good way to highlight where her borders are, the borders of her face. Now I went over a little on there, but we'll fix it later. Yeah. If you say, I don't know how to paint, so then you never pick up something like this and try, you never will learn how to paint. So I'm not really a painter. I know I'm not doing things the right way. I know that we've discussed this before. You can go in and do tutorials and do step by step and learn each thing the right way and slowly progress. And I find that if I just pick up a paintbrush and start painting and playing around, I figure out how to make it look like I did it the right way in the end. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not true. Maybe a professional artist can tell, oh boy, she's definitely not a painter. But as I learn, I figure out ways of doing things quicker, or, you know, shortcuts, or the right way to do things. Then I'll go back and look at tutorials and see. And then I have a better idea. So if I'm watching a tutorial and I've never picked up a paintbrush, sometimes I get confused and I have no idea what they're talking about. But if I've picked up the paintbrush and just started to play like this, and then I go watch a tutorial, I have a better idea of what they're trying to teach, I guess. Because I've been there before on the canvas, so it's easier for me to understand. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but it makes a lot of sense in my head. And that's what matters, right? Except I'm trying to explain what's in my head, and that's just probably, I'm never going to be able to do that where everybody can understand. But the idea here is to encourage you to not worry about perfection and just play and see what happens and learn as you go. That's a start. Now I'm not going to cover up her whole shoulder. I'm just going to put the lines in here. And then I'm going to take my water. I'll just put water in one of these. I'm going to use my container to blend things out, you see. I'll do that with the water too. So I'm going to take most of the paint off my brush, but there's a little bit left in there. And I'm just going to kind of blend this shoulder. Will it work? I don't know. I'm going to go over my lines here, even though I'm going to go back. And I'm just going to kind of play around with that line until it's smooth, where you can't see the line, and where it just kind of fades into her shoulder a little bit. Let me see if I can get this closer. So then, in the end, you'll be able to see her shoulder, but we're not going to cover up the artwork underneath from the acrylic pour, because I love these colors so much. And I just want her to kind of be, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I want her to just kind of be superimposed over this acrylic pour. I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. I'm going to go in and scrub that line. I let it sit a little bit too much. So I'm going to go in and just kind of move that paint around. And you don't want to do too much, because it will lift the paint underneath. There we go. There's her shoulder. And I might go back in and do more. But right now I'm just trying to get these lines painted out so I can go back later. And I'm just going to continue using this light skin tone color to just lay out my details, like this feather, so it's easier to see. Now, you see what I do. I put my hand in the paint. That's where I want the feather to be. The leaves are easy. You know, I bounce around because the face is a little bit difficult for me. So I try and go through with all the easy stuff so that my hand gets used to holding the brush and moving and warmed up, I guess you could say. You want to keep this close by as a reference, because sometimes when you get into the painting, you forget what those lines are. And that's no bueno. You see, I'm going to put some of this teal, but I'm going to dip into this so that it's a little different color than what I put down, so I can see that these leaves are separate than the ones next to them. It's just how I do it. And I am going to go over these and do more layers so that the leaves have some texture in them. I'm probably going to put some pink in these flowers. But for now, I don't want to lose them. Yes, yes, yes. Whoops. I think we need a little bit more of this. In her neck. I would love to be able to, if you've never seen the Milan Institute, they do this thing called ugly faces, and they do the abstract and then come back and just kind of do the face, and it's really, really ugly, but they do it in layers, and then it just comes out as you're painting, and it just turns into this beautiful portrait. I would love to take their classes, because I think they teach in a similar style that I've taught myself, and I just think it would be cool. I mean, I'm far from being able to do what they teach, but I just, what's the word, I guess, resonate with their style and their... I think I'm gonna leave this and just let it kind of fade into the edge. Add some water here and just kind of leave a little of that poking through. We'll see, I could change my mind later. I don't think that these acrylic pours really, you know, when you're experimenting and playing around, they can't stand on their own as a painting. But then when I go in and I start painting over it, I just don't want to cover it all up. Okay, I got a little bit of black, and I'm not going to go with white. I'm going to just do a touch of black and this cream color. Oops. And I'm gonna make this. I'm not using white because I have white in here, and I feel like if I use a little bit of the cream, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. It's just what I've decided to do. And I'm just gonna go in and do some of the lines in her hair. Now this is her headband here, so I'm not gonna go across that. I'm gonna pick up a little more black for here. And that's it. And the rest, oops. And I'm going to leave it a little streaky. And I will do another layer. Now, I'm going to loosen it up a little bit with some water. And I'm just going to go in and mark out where her hair is. And again, this is where the headband is. You can take a smaller brush and just put in some of those lines. And I'm not going to do this area in her face yet because I have to go back and finish her face. But again, I'm just trying to mark out where everything is. I shouldn't get started on that yet. And I am going to put some, I'm not going to cover this up, but I'm going to put some lines in because it's like, it's fabric. It's her, you know, her headband. Take a little bit. I'm going to change out the colors as I go. And just follow the lines that I did here. Might even add a little bit of this white in here, or the cream color. I am going to go over it with the cream, just to kind of blend some of those colors in a little. And then I'll go over it with once more. I decided I wanted it to be solid. I was gonna leave it and let some of this show through, but you know what? We've got so much of it on the outside edges of everything that I'm gonna let these feathers be bright and pretty. Here's another feather here. And I'll just layer these feathers until I get them to the point where I like them. I'll let these dry, and then I'll do another layer and maybe go in and add some highlights. And then I will add the what do you call that? A stem? Not really sure. I'm going to do this one a little bit lighter. Oh, that's such a pretty color. So there's 1, 2, 3 feathers here. So this one comes out here. I like it. I think this one needs to be underneath that one. This one needs to be angled that way more. So I'm gonna do my green colors and have this one come out a little bit more, covering that one. That looks a little bit better, I think. Yes. All right. See what you can do when you just play around? I think she's going to be lovely. I just want a little bit of pink here. I'm going to go over her lips a little bit because we don't want them to be too bright. And I do want to cover up. Now let's do a little rosiness in here. Just gonna blend it around a little bit. Want a little bit of rosiness here for her cheek. And, you know, a good way to look at this is pretend like you're putting on makeup. That's how I think of it when I'm doing faces. So she's probably gonna have, oops, that's too much. She's probably gonna have a little pink on her forehead, a little rosiness on her nose, a little here. And then if it's too much, you can always go back and, so for that, because I just wanted to cover up that area, but she's definitely not going to have a big pink spot on the, and I got some blue in there. That's okay. Go over to the side here. And then kind of cover that up, blend it in. There. Now we definitely don't want eyelashes over white, so let's do that. Probably not going to have as much pink up here. So we'll kind of blend that in a little. And definitely not a giant pink spot on her head. But you see, there's a little bit in there underneath that layer, so just a natural, healthy glow. All right, so now what I'm going to do is let this dry. I'm going to cover up this line here and kind of blend it. I'm going to go over to the flowers and do another layer on the flowers. I'm going to flip her upside down so I don't get my hand in. I want a little more pink there. And I'm going to leave those streaks with the pink on one side and the cream on the other. Because that's what flowers look like. I love magenta. So I'm going to add a little, and towards the middle I'm going to go a little bit darker. I'll just trace those. And now, while it's wet, I'm going to go back with this lighter pink. I'm going to go back in and kind of blend those colors in. Anywhere where I think that the pink is too much. But then you see the middle is a little darker. And that's how I do flowers. Just keep layering it until it's pretty. And then it looks like a real flower, sort of, almost. And then I can go in and add a little bit of highlight. I'll do this in the middle around the middle, and just kind of till I'm happy with it. And of course I always go overboard and do too much, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. I can always change my mind. If you're not sure, just stop. I think I'm going to do a yellow flower here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of, actually, I think I'm just going to add gold to this cream color that I have. And I think that'll be perfect. The gold is very transparent, so if I don't add some of this cream color in, you'll be able to see right through it. So I'm going to go with the mixture that I have now, and I'm just playing around with it in the container. And I'm just going to, I may have to go in and get a real yellow or more gold, but right now I want to use exactly the same colors that I used in the pour so that there's nothing that is jumping out and doesn't go well. So I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll go back with this gold and do a layer of just the gold on top to make it more like this. I don't want this, I want it creamier, but I want this color in it. So I don't mix it. I'll wait and let that dry. And let's see, I want a little bit of gold since we've got it out. I'm gonna do some gold in the middle there and just do a dot right in the middle. Might as well do it here too. Hopefully it won't spread out. And I'll probably end up going back and doing that again. I want to do some gold in now. Yeah, I want to do some gold in this earring here. So let's do this white or off-white, whatever. And I will make this make it gold. These are going to be dots here, so I'm going to leave that alone and we'll go back and do that. And I'm going to do a dot in the middle, which will also be gold. By the way, here's a good example of why I love these. While I walk away, this sits right on top of there, and then a clear one, and then the lid goes on, and I can come back later and my paint will be ready to go. Okay, it's all dry. I'm going to add a little bit of this brown over here so I can mix it in and put some shadows in her face. Not that much. Let's see. And I'm going to try and concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm going to put a little pink. And then that way. So, ooh, that's way too dark. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put some shadows in here. And then I'll go back and wipe this off and take some of this cream and do like I did on the flowers and just kind of blend it in a little bit. We can always go back and go over it if it's too much. So I'll just tell you, if you didn't notice, I haven't been doing my oh, and I'm going to add a little bit of the cream color in here because I put more hair here than I wanted. So if you do that, you can go back in and add skin this way so that these are a little bit more wispy when I go into and that's a little more rounded than what I wanted. So easy as that. If you've been here watching my channel for a while, you know I'm all about layer, layer, layer because it's like tuning the TV. If you're, you know, close to my age, you'll remember you just keep fine tuning until you get what you want. So yeah, life has been lifing. I've been working with my daughter and my ex-husband. So I have been very busy and very tired because it's extremely physical work. But I enjoy it. I got to do a little painting this time, which was nice. Put a little shadow in here underneath and a little shadow under here and a little bit of a shadow along that hairline. And again, I'm just gonna keep blending it in and playing around with it until I get it where I want it. Yeah, so it's been very busy. And then, of course, it takes me a while to recover. So I've been very tired in between. It's good, hard, honest work. I'm glad to have some time today to get back into painting a little bit. I want to create some pieces that I can put into on my website. We did get the termites taken care of, so that's good. And I've cut about a bajillion mangoes. Oh, I noticed before that I forgot. So I'm going to let this dry because I kind of like where the shadows are. I need to add some more in, but I'm going to give this a little chance to dry so that then I can do. Now, another way to really layer this is to, when you get it looking the way you really want it to look, you can continue layering with a little bit of, see, now I'm doing it with water here, but you can also come in if you really don't want to take out a lot of the shading that you've already done, you can mix a little Floetrol in there. I'm going to take some of this off. And then that way your paint becomes more transparent and you don't cover up all your shading. It's like a glaze. So again, with my Masterboard Monday videos, I really didn't translate the glazing to paper, but that's what it is when you take your paint and add a transparent medium like Floetrol to it. I noticed that I left off a feather, so I'm debating because there's 3 here. I guess I could do one more there, but instead of having it go all the way up here, I think I'm just going to have it come out of there a little bit. And I think I'm going to do more gold in this one. So let's try that and just have it emerge out from under her hair. So I'm just blocking it out right now. And then I'll go back and add a little cream. And, well, let's see if I can do a little bit of that now. And then I might go and add some color in there. I don't know. Let's try a little bit of this brown. And I'm going to grab some gold. Yeah. There, now I can really see where it's coming from. So she'll have a little bit. If I would have known, if I would have thought about that before, I would have done that one maybe. But I don't know, I kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to go work on her hair a little bit now. Let's do our mix of black and this cream. And I'm going to mix it really light because I just want to block in. I want to figure out where the hair is first. So we're going to do hair here. And like I said before, see, that's where I thought her neck was before, but it's not, it's hair. I'm going to go in and add the strands later. But right now, I just want to, and it's okay if you, like, I kind of like putting a little streakiness in the background. So I'm going to take a little of this cream and a little of the black and just kind of brush it in there. Because then when I go and add the strands later, the base already has some of that texture of the hair in it. I'm starting to just decide what I want as I go. Now I'm going to leave that because that's going to be just some strands coming down. And then I'm going to have some here as well. But I need a much thinner brush for that. So let me touch up. This is not high enough. It's got to come right off of the headband like that. And I'm going to grab some water because you can see the texture of the canvas underneath, and I don't want that. So I'm going to spread that paint in there so it covers it all up. I can't wait to do the dots. I'm going to do the like jewelry on her headband. It's going to be so cool. Yeah, so, you know, I try and do Masterboard Monday, and then I try and grab a tip, either something that I've thought about that I really want to share, or let me get some hair kind of in here. Not much, because it's just peeking through a little bit on the edges, because these flowers are kind of pulling it all together, but there needs to be a little hair showing through. Yeah, so Tuesday tip, I try and come up with something that either I have used in my Monday video, something that I discover, or a good tip that I haven't shared yet. And, you know, don't take my word for it, because it's just things that happen along the way. And then I'm going to put a little hair down here. And then Thursday is a process video kind of like this, which currently I am doing on, what's today? Friday, July 3rd. So if you know history, we actually voted and became a an independent country on the 2nd, yesterday, 250 years ago. And tomorrow will be the 250th year of the signing. So I love that. I love history. And it should be an exciting day tomorrow. We're gonna stick close to home. We usually go away on 4th of July weekend, Independence Day, but a friend of ours that we usually hang out with is, oh, how did I get that big glob of water right there? He's working, so he won't be around, so we decided to just kind of stay close to home, which I'm glad, because we've been so busy and I'm so far behind. So as I was saying, okay, now while I chat here, I'm gonna look for my Floetrol, which I believe is in this container here from our pour. Yep. I'm gonna take that out, and I'm going to start mixing this into the gray that I've got here. I'm going to mix a little bit more. So here's some white, or, antique, and a little gray. I'm going to put a little Floetrol in there, mix it up really well. So it will be a little bit transparent, but what I want, and I may go back and do a little bit darker color. Let me do this so I don't make a big mess. So I'm going to start, while the rest is drying that I was just working on. Now, that's a little bit more than what I want. I'm going to mix some more Floetrol. I want it to, oh, that's a lot. But you know what? Sometimes things happen for a reason. I know I should not be mixing this with my paintbrush, but I do. It's fine. It's a cheap little paintbrush. I love it. But I've got a bunch of these. And if I weren't on camera, I probably would be doing it the proper way. Let me put a little more water in here, because I'm going to water this down. And it's may still be a little bit darker than what I want, and a little bit too far away. What I want is just the shadow, kind of like a shadow behind her. And I'm just going to play around, and probably going to dab some up as I go, because I'm going to come back and do it in layers. So the first round is just barely going to be there. And there's a couple different ways you could do this. You could use a, where is that? The Intense, these blocks here, let's see. Sometimes I use these, so you can trace around, but I have the blocks here. I don't have the pencil, so it's really difficult to do in this case, and just go around with the black. They have gray too. I have a gray one down here somewhere. And then go around, and then they're water soluble, so you just trace around it. And then I've done videos on that before. Okay, I just lost my brush. But in this case, I'll show those again soon. But in this case, I just like to just it's very relaxing just to sometimes take the long road. I'm going to go out past what I just did and just kind of blend it out a little bit. Now, the cool thing about acrylic paints is if you do get it too much behind here, you can always go back and you can activate that paint and take a little off if you have to. But the whole point here is just to kind of straighten out my lines and make it look like she's kind of coming off of the canvas here a little bit. So it's not quite so flat. While also not completely covering up what's underneath. So I was saying, because I'm not monetized yet, but hey, guess what? Last time I looked, I had 483 subscribers. So I'm right around the corner from 500, which doesn't really get me anything right now. But in order to get monetized, the first step is to get to 500 subscribers, because when I get 3,000 watch hours and only have like 1,150 or something like that right now, I have to get to 3,000, and then I can apply for partial monetization, which I need, because the reason why I'm working so hard right now is because I'm trying to do this and build this channel, but I also still need to make money, so I'm working a lot. And I've been working on that book, The House Beneath the Pier, which I'm super excited about. However, it has taken a lot longer than I thought to edit, and I could just throw it out there, but I really want it to be good because it's my first book that I'm putting out there. I mean, I've written a lot of little short stories, but I never put any of my writing out in the public. So, yeah, I'll definitely go back and do more, and I might actually go in with a charcoal pencil or something. Of course, then I'm going to have to use a fixative to make sure that when I go over it, it won't smudge. But that's something I'll probably do. So anyway, so yeah, I've been working on my book. So my videos aren't as consistent as they have been because I've got so many things going on. But I'll tell you, my intention is to do this for a living and be more consistent with my videos once I get to the point where they're supporting me. Now I have a buy me a coffee. I have Venmo. I should probably put that in somewhere, because I have had a couple people ask me if they can send me a tip so I can get. I've mentioned a few things that I want to order from Amazon so that I can do a video on it. But and that's another thing I'll do consistently when I get monetized, is let you guys tell me what to buy from Amazon, and then I'll buy it and, you know, try it out for you so you don't have to waste the money. And that's going to be super fun because I love trying new stuff. But right now, I'm just doing the best I can to hang in there and not give up. I don't give up easily. So, no worries. If you like being around here, I'm not going anywhere. It's just, it's not easy wearing so many different hats. But I'm encouraged. I'm having fun. And now she is just a little bit too dark in here, under here. So I'm just like the flower. I'm going to kind of brush the lighter color in the opposite direction to cover it up, but also just blend it in. I'm going to add a little bit more. Let me get some of that buttermilk. And I'm just striping this feather. I'm going to take a little bit of that brown here and go right up the middle. There. I still will probably go back and do more layers, but I'm just going to play around with my colors now. And just start laying in. And I like to just make my brush really flat. And I have flat brushes here, but I get busy and don't want to keep switching brushes, so I just take my brush and make it flat like that. And then I'll dip a little corner in the white and dip a little corner in the other, and then just start adding little streaks in there. And I will go in like I did the flower. I'll do a little darker on the edge, maybe. We'll see. So I'm going to do a little blue in here. I barely got, I don't know if you could see that, but I barely touched the blue and the teal. And I'm actually going to go in and just barely touch the white and do the same thing with this one. I'm going to turn her around. I need a little more white. A little more white. Ooh, that's a lot. That's okay. I'll let that dry. Let me just do. Okay, now I'm gonna do, these two are a lot the same color, so I'm gonna do a little bit different. Let me take a little, I'm gonna mix it again here. A little blue, a little teal, and here we go, messing up that buttermilk again, but a little bit more. Actually, I'm doing pretty good. I haven't gotten any, the blue hasn't gotten in there. Okay, so now I've mixed that. I'm gonna make my brush flat, and I'm going to dip the corner in the darker blue because this little thing is hard to see here. So I want to be able to see it. And this one too. You could take a flat brush. You could take any kind of brush and load it up with different colors and do your feathers that way. Sometimes I do. I think I'm going to add a little gold. And you're not really going to be able to see it because it's so thin and transparent. But I want to add some shimmer to this blue one because I want each feather to be slightly different. Oh, that's really pretty. Good choice. I don't know if you can you see that? No. Oh, there you go. It's going to be really pretty. So I'm going to start doing these a little more often on the channel because like I said, I got to start putting some stuff out there to support my journey. So if you like this, it will be available on my website as soon as it's all dry. I think I'm going to add the gold to one of those little ones too, because I love it so much. And you know what? Before I do that, because I want the gold to show up, I forgot that I took this really light aqua out, And I'm going to add that to, which one? I think I'm going to add it to this one. So this one, and you can do sections of, you don't have to do all the feathers even throughout. I'm going to add a little bit of, oh, there you go. I got it in there. See if I can clean it out. Now I have this real pretty light green that I can go in and add some, I think I've got too much. Let me just kind of flatten the brush out really super flat because this is a tiny feather here. I'm going to do it on this one because it's up here on top and it would probably more likely have little hints of light. And you know what? It adds so much dimension. I'm going to go ahead and do it on this one too. Maybe it came from the same bird. You never know. Add a few in. Ooh, uh-oh. I almost ended up with that in my lap. Okay. I think the feathers are looking good. Yep. So now I'm going to go with this really dark blue. And actually, I did do a really pretty fine line there. But I'm going to go in like I did the flower, and I'm just going to brush a couple of little streaks here and there of the dark blue, because obviously the feathers are going to have a lot more shadow off of that line, off of the, what do you call that down the, like the stem of a flower, in the middle of the feather. So it's going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to go in and do some little dark streaks off of that stem or whatever you call it. I like it. And I love the, I'm loving the gold. Let's put a couple of little shadows in here. Just a few little hairs. Just a little bit. All right. And I'm thinking I'm gonna, even though these are different colors, I think I'm gonna go in with the blue for the little stem line. Perfect. Because I like the blue. And it doesn't have to be perfect or all the way there. Maybe some hairs are covering the stem, so you can't quite see the whole thing. There you go. Let's see if I can get this. I like the blue down the center. That's cool. And it doesn't have to be perfect or make any sense. It just has to look good from afar. So I'm just kind of speckling it. You could see some gray underneath from the hair, but you also see some shadows from the feathers. So it looks a little darker in this area here. It's raining outside, which is nice because it's about 180 degrees in my house right now. I spend a lot more time in my art room when it's really hot because I have a wall unit in here and I don't have to run the whole house. I can leave it a little warmer than is comfortable and then come in here. However, when I'm doing this, I usually, and you know, a couple times I haven't, and just apologize for it. Right now it's raining, so it's not too bad, but usually when I'm doing this, I'll turn it off while I've got the camera rolling. All right, she is, oh, all right, sorry if you couldn't see any of that. She's coming out. I like it. She's getting there. And what's really going to be nice is when I go back and add all the... Now I'm going to add a little blue to this shadow because her hair is very gray. And you cannot tell the difference between the shadow and the edge of the hair. Although I will fix that when I do the hair, because there will be streaks of black in there, so you'll be able to see it better. And I'll go around the gray part that I just did with a little bit of this blue. Just add a little blue in there. I really don't even have any paint in my brush right now. It's just from the water and what's left over in there. But I like it. I like this shadow around her. Now this is dry. So I'm going to take a little bit of this blue that I just mixed up, and almost nothing left in the brush, and go back over for another layer. Now it's got a little blue in it, so I like that. And it won't completely, it's giving it a new layer because the layer underneath is already dry. If that makes sense. Oops, don't want to get it on her face. I'm gonna have to go back over with the, yeah, that's better. So as I was saying before, I will get back to my regular schedule, but right now I'm just hanging in there. So I appreciate the support a lot, more than you know. It's so exciting that even if I'm not around, there are still new people showing up every day. Welcome, new people. I appreciate you taking the time, and those of you who are commenting, you have no idea how much that helps. It really, like if somebody puts a comment on a video, you almost immediately see it being pushed out there more. So you may just be wanting to tell me something, but just so you know, it really helps push the video out there. It doesn't even have to be that much. So I do really appreciate that. And it'll help me get to monetization faster so I could do more. And while I'm starting this channel, I have started this channel before I'm an expert, before I'm a master painter. And that should be that's my dream one day, is to bring you videos where I really know what I'm talking about. I decided to start before I know how to paint. So you can watch the whole show, which I'm sure brings lots of laughs to those of you who already know what you're doing. That's okay. I'm laughing with you. But I want you to know, like I said before, don't let the fact that you don't know what you're doing stop you from doing it. And really, I remember better when I play around with it myself and make the mistakes. I'm gonna kind of brush the darker color from the middle. And then I'll come back in with a little gold and kind of mix that all in. A little more brown. I'm brushing the brown where the shadows might be, towards the middle and underneath. Now I'm going to take some of the white and I'm going to go to the tips and brush it over so the flower's a little lighter at the edge, at the tip of the flower. And then just kind of blend it in a little bit, not too much, because I don't want to take out all that streakiness. That's what makes it look real. So that's pretty. And then when I go back in and add the little fine lines, it'll be really nice. I feel like there's a little too much dark there. And I'm definitely going to have to probably mix in some more of that pink. But this is what I'm talking about where, oh, I got blue in there. And go on the other side. This is what I'm talking about where you can go in and layer and layer and layer until it, let me get a little clean water here. Blend it in. Now I've forgotten where her eyebrows are. But one thing you can do is take your original. There's another way that you can transfer this onto your canvas, and it's called DaVinci. It's an app I use sometimes. It's hard for me. So if there's a canvas that is easy for me to transfer directly, like if I can print it out about the same size that I want it, I'll do it that way, the way I did it this time. But if it's something that's a different size and I need to adjust it, and I use DaVinci, and what you do is you put the image in your phone and then you look through your phone to trace the image out. So in this case, because I lost the eyebrows, I'll either try and go back in and do it by hand, but if I really need help, I can take my original image and put it in DaVinci and then adjust the image and line it up with what I have here, and then I can check to make sure everything is in the right spot. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to add a little more pink here since I covered it all up. Okay, I did go in with this ebony pencil and found the eyebrows here. So I can go back and do that. And touched up this area here and anywhere that I had kind of gotten off. And I think I really like the way this looks. Now I'm definitely going to have to go in after I'm done and use a fixative to lock this in before I seal this, because as soon as I put water on this, and you see how this kind of, I mean, I'm smearing it with my finger, so, but I like that I can go in and define that edge and then smooth it out a little bit. So that's an option. Now I've used it to kind of put some shading in here under her cheeks, under her eye, along her hairline a little bit. And I can go back in with the lighter color and go over it a little bit. And again, it'll blend a little. I'll want to lock it in so I can come back with more layers and not shift it around anymore. So there. Let's get a little more pink right here. I'm just cleaning up her face a little bit. But that little bit of gray from that pencil just kind of allows me to get some shadows in there. Is that the right way to do it? Probably not. But once again, I'm just going to keep playing until I get it right. Okay, now you see how I do it. I'm gonna go work on this for a little bit and I will come back and show you the final results. So, okay, I'm gonna go continue working and I'll come back if there's something really important that you need to know. Okay, I had to turn my AC on, so you might hear it. Now I'm going to take these dotting tools, which I stole from my nail area because I don't know where my real paint ones. I have two sets, one for my nail table for nail art and one set for painting. And I don't know where my painting ones are. So I'm just gonna dip my daughters in paint and just go in and decorate. And I'm just gonna, this is her headband, so I'm just gonna play it by ear here. So because I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, I'm just showing you, and I'm gonna go off on my own with my air conditioner running and complete this piece and keep layering my dots. I'm going to do some dots here for chains and jewelry, and I'm looking at her and I like her. I don't want to overdo it, so we'll see how it goes. I probably will overdo it, and like I said before, I'm going to leave that. I am going to go in and put just a couple of little lines in what's already there with the black. I'm not going to cover up what I have. I just want to make it a little more defined. So I will go back in and do that a little bit. So I'll be back in a little while and show you how she turned out. Here is a close-up at the details. The only thing I don't love about this one is that because it's an acrylic pour, it's a little bumpy, as you can see on the chin. That can be fixed, but you really can't see it a little bit further away. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll put the links in the description below of everything that I used, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.